Everyone should be getting done right about now-ish. All right, let's get after it. See, that quiz was not too hard. You guys did pretty darn well on it. A few oopsies here and there, but that's all right. But you guys did so well on that. You did so well on that. Then I'm gonna give you another one tomorrow. Yes. Yeah, look at the excitement of the children that I love. Look how excited you are. You are welcome. Happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving. You got another one of these puppies tomorrow. But how about tomorrow? I only give you 7 minutes to do it. You're welcome. You're welcome. I didn't stutter, Manuel. I didn't stutter. I said, you're welcome.
I asked why less time.
Why less time? Because you guys got that done so fast. Let me look. Let me look here. Let me look at the times. I'm gonna go into my little thingy bobby. I can't show you it because that shows everyone's grades. But I'm gonna go in there. Shabam. Let me scroll down here. Shabam bam. Here, oh, quizzes. Bam! Quizzes. Reading quiz. Let's look at the average time that you guys took. Average time for this class. 2 minutes and 43 seconds. Look at this. I'm going down the line here. All right. 2 minutes 37 seconds. 3 minutes 33 seconds. 1 minute 37 seconds. 1 minute 31 seconds. 2 minutes and 55 seconds.
Took me 5.
It did take you 5. But don't worry, you're getting 7 tomorrow. You're welcome. I know what you're thinking. How can this class get more enjoyable? I know, I say the same thing. How can this class become more enjoyable? I mean, look at these glowing faces. You guys are welcome for me. Aren't you ready for it to be 2 weeks from now so you get to see me in person? I know Anna wants to see me in person because she's like, Mr. Clapper just gave me the best nickname ever. He calls me the Shark. That's a great name. She's gonna become like an Olympic class swimmer, and she's gonna have like shark across her, whatever that thing's called, the thingy thing, and I'll be like, that's me. You're welcome.
I don't think she swims.
Yes, she does. Anna, you swim, right? Not Annabelle. Annabelle's a softball player. Anna swims. She better because her profile picture is her swimming. That would be a cruel joke. Let's talk about West Africa. I love it. I love it. West Africa. Now, before I go on talking about West Africa, I will not do it justice. You probably need to take about 4 or 5 classes to really learn about West Africa. Just like you can't learn all of American history in just one class. So what we're going to focus on today is just kind of a skimming of the big ideas, just a skimming, because some of those characteristics that from the West African people you see in American culture. Okay, American culture, because obviously people of the United States are made up of people from West Africa. All right, that's why America is seen, I don't say as a melting pot, because melting means everyone comes together and everyone's the same. You look at this Teams message, you look out in front of me, my goodness gracious, I got so much differences, it's beautiful. All right, we're not a melting pot, we're all different. We're like a casserole. Like a casserole, like a really good casserole. You guys know what I'm talking about, like a tuna noodle casserole, they're pretty good. Yeah, some of you are saying they're good. My mama's tuna noodle casserole is pretty darn good. But everything is still unique. Got a little bits of the vegetables. You got the noodles. You got the tuna. You got the potato. I don't know if she puts potatoes in it or not, but it's pretty good. That's what we have in America. We got a tuna noodle casserole. You're welcome. So what you learn in class today? Well, Mr. Clapper says America is like a tuna noodle casserole. You're welcome. So West Africa. West Africa is culturally rich because of the length of time people have lived there. It has very strong values. It has very strong, a very deep history, um, a very unique connection to the land and world around them. It's a wonderful, beautiful place. Unfortunately, because it's so beautiful, it attracts a lot of attention. It does. Just like any really nice place, people wanted to go there and unfortunately exploit the people who live there and the resources that they had. And what was the main resource that they have that everybody wants? Say it. The people, eventually, but it's gold. They have a lot of gold, a lot of it. And people used to exploit it and war over it. That's originally why there were so many Arab traders that would come into that area, and that's why eventually Islam moved into West Africa, a lot more in Northern Africa. Northern Africa is very, very strong Islamically. I don't think that's a word. Islamic people. But it was a wonderful place for trading. Unfortunately, there was also the very infamous what type of trade?
Slave
worst,
trade.
the slave trade, exactly, the slave trade. Now, what we need to understand, and this is not a good thing to understand, but it's the truth, slavery is not, or the slave trade is not unique to Africa. Unfortunately, the slave trade has existed everywhere. There was a slave trade in America before the colonization. There was a slave trade of Native Americans. There was a slave trade in South America. There's a slave trade in India, in Asia. Basically, if you were a loser of a war or a battle or a conflict, you were either going to die or become a slave. That's just the way it was back then. Just like the Jews were slaves of the Egyptians. I mean, in before this, that slavery existed everywhere, but unfortunately, it's very, very infamous within Africa because of the slave trade being there. Now, obviously, the slave trade was there to be used for acquiring labor for the gold mining and stuff like that, but it was also for what other use, what other labor source, or what labor was it used for?
Farming?
Farming. Specifically, what crop? What crop? Anybody remember reading it? Portuguese set up huge plantations of this off the coast of West Africa.
Corn.
Sugar cane.
Sugar
Sugarcane.
cane, which is wretched to grow. It's more wretched to harvest and to refine because basically what you have to do to get sugar is you boil it. It's wretched. It's so much labor. It's like cotton where it's very labor intensive. It's awful. And they needed a lot of workers. So what would happen is these plantation owners would reach out to strong African civilizations like the Songhai, like the Ghana, and they would actually sell off their prisoners of war. They would actually sell them off because that, and again, we look at this as like, oh my God, they're the worst people in the world. No, that's, believe it or not, slavery was pretty accepted. It's sickening to think about, but it was pretty accepted. And you know what's really sickening? There's actually more slaves today than there was back then. There really is. There's more slaves today, and that's the big time human trafficking that exists throughout the world now. Slavery is still going on right now, and there's actually more slaves now than there has ever been before. We just don't hear about it much. I mean, we just heard about the human trafficking where they found like 30 kids in Georgia. That's sex trafficking. That's human trafficking right there. Those kids were going to be sold into bondage. And it's terrible and disgusting to think about, but that's the reason why we talk about it now. I want you to be repulsed by this, so you guys become the leaders and fight for it later. So let's not just talk about the bad things of West Africa, because there's also so many amazing things, such a rich culture. How did people, how did the normal, everyday Joe Schmo like me live? How did they live? Come on, we need people to unmute, need people to talk. There's lots of people. I got 3 people in front of me. I got a lot of you on the screen. It's, you only got 20 more minutes of school left.
They live in
Small
like small
villages?
communities.
They had very close-knit villages. They farmed.
A lot
Okay.
of religion.
What was,
Practices
other
everywhere.
than, you're 100% with the religion. Thank you, Manny. Other than, obviously, Islam playing a huge influence into it. And there was some Christian there too, but you got to realize, if you guys don't already know, Christianity and Islam, they didn't really get along back then too well. They didn't really get along too well. So they clashed, but also the African communities and people had a beautiful, beautiful connection with what within their communities, religiously.
The elders.
Well, we're going to talk about the elders. We're going to talk about the elders. What about they really based a lot of their beliefs on nature, on the world around them, on spirits. That's where they found their answers. And you got to think about it. And again, I'm not going to tell you if I'm religious or not. I'm not going to tell you if I believe in God or gods or whatever else is out there. I'm not going to tell you that, because my job is to educate, not to influence. But I will say this. Every single religion, no matter what it is the search for answers. That's what it is. If you're Christian, you're looking for answers. If you're Muslim, you're looking for answers. You just look in different places. If you're Hindu, you're looking for answers. Faith is all about searching for answers. The African people throughout the entire region and continent looked for answers within the spirit world. They looked for answers from their ancestors. And that's where they found their answers. That makes that and I really hope you guys see that, because again, I don't know what your guys' faith are. Even if you could be an atheist, it doesn't matter. But the beautiful thing is religion. If everybody just realized religion, faith, being spiritual is all about the search for answers. That's all it is. I think we would get along a lot more if we would just, hey, we're all looking for answers. We just finding them in different places. So we have, very diverse communities, very strong communities, communities that are also outside of farming based on trade. We have the Sahara Highway, right? Moving tons and tons of goods throughout there. And not only goods, but ideas and language and religious ideas, all those wonderful things that move through there. But then, as you guys already know, we had the Portuguese moving in, setting up shop to get that gold. Why do you think the Portuguese were the ones to move in, and maybe not the English or the French or the Spanish? Why the Portuguese first?
Maybe they're the closest.
Say it again, bud.
They're the closest, like most accessible.
You're not wrong. You're right, but there's also another reason we got to tie on to that. He mentioned that they're closest, they're most accessible. What about just being the strongest? During this time period, and I know my Brazilian students love when I say this, they're the studs. They're the rock of Europe. It's not the English, it's not the Spanish. The Spanish eventually kind of creep in there, but the Portuguese dominate the seas and exploration because they're so strong. Their navy is just dominating. And that's why, again, as my Brazilian students already know, that's why you speak Portuguese, because they went into what we know now as Brazil and just dominated in Brazil. So we had the Portuguese move in, set up shop, and do very well and make a lot of money. And that's why other European countries eventually moved into Africa, because they realized how lucrative it is and how much money they can make within the trading kind of networks that exist within Africa. And as you guys well know, Africa is incredibly diverse, not only with its people, but with its land. I mean, you go from the savannah to the Sahara Desert to the beautiful rainforest. You go down to the the South Africa where it's just a combination. Basically, it's a combination of everything. It's just a beautiful land that people really start to appreciate. But unfortunately, when they appreciate, they try to exploit it. They try to make money off of it, just like the rest of Europe and Asia and Africa or India. So we have all these really amazing characteristics that bring a lot of pressure on the African people. What about the structures of the communities themselves, though? How did we organize those? Or how did the African people organize themselves?
Lineage, right?
Yeah, they based on lineage. I'll tell you guys a kind of a quick story here. Before I do that, I got to explain this. Within the African community, family is so important. And it's not just like, and I'm going to be brutal with it. It's not like your mom, your dad, your brothers, sisters. It's your extended family. Your extended family. And you see this today, and that's why we bring it up. You see that within America's African American community, the tight knit family. Everyone knows everybody. Everyone knows their cousins and their aunts, their uncles. I'll be honest, I'm white. You guys know it. I don't know my uncles very well. I never hang out with my cousins. Like, I didn't do that as a kid. Like, my extended family was not close at all. I saw them maybe at the holidays, maybe, but we never got together with them. We never hung out together. That's kind of a characteristic of white culture. We just don't have, some do. I don't want everybody to think they don't. But within the African American community, it is so much broader and so much, I will say, stronger. Their community is so much stronger. That's where this comes from. That's where that ancestral bond of extended family. Also, the leadership of the family is based upon who? Who is the, no, not just that.
Elders.
The elders, the oldest. Let me give you an example. So about, oh God, it's probably 6 or 7 years ago, a African-American soccer player, nice young girl, invited Miss Clapper and me to go out to dinner to celebrate her graduation from here. We'd love to. So we went out to dinner. It was her two aunts. Again, my uncles and aunts never went to my graduation. They went to hers. I mean, that's, again, a proof that they were so tight. Her mother, her two aunts, her mother, her cousin, and her grandmother. And guess who dominated that family? Oh, yeah. Grandmother for sure. Grandmother ran the ship. Guys, I'll be honest. As much as I loved my grandparents when they were alive, they did not run the ship. They did not. Kind of older people within my culture are, I don't want to say pushed to the side, but they're not really seen as the leaders of the family. But within the African American community, at least from my experience and talking to a lot of African American students, it's that family. And it's that age. Like, the grandparents run the family. They run it. And she when we went out to dinner with her, she ran it. And she was a lovely person, but she sat at the head of the table. She's the one that asked all the questions. She's the one that directed the conversation. And all the other family members kind of just followed in her footsteps. And it was so interesting to see. It was actually really quite refreshing to see. Because if I went out with my grandparents.
In Brazil,
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah, go
Brazil
ahead.
it's almost the same.
And Meth is saying in Brazil, it's almost the exact same. That's awesome. And and again, there's a reason for it. And that's why we talk about this stuff. There's a reason for that to exist now. And again, I'm only scratching the surface of this, folks. I mean, there's so many more amazing things within West African culture, just like European culture, just like Asian culture and Indian culture and South American culture and North American, Native American culture and all these wonderful things. Again, we're trying to understand why things are the way they are now. by looking at the answers from history. So, with that said, and again, I know I went through this rather quickly, but I can definitely tell you guys are pretty close to being done. Let's talk about tomorrow. Section 4, I know you're super excited. You can thank me later. I do accept Christmas presents, and all that stuff. I do accept. I can be bought. Every man has his price. Mine's just a little bit lower. Yes, I can say that. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I'm just messing with you guys. But seriously, no, seriously. I like candy. I shouldn't eat it if I'm fat. Moving on. And then tomorrow you got a reading quiz. And then we'll talk about this again. Now, you will have something you need to do over the weekend. No, I'm not answering your question, Annabelle. No, I'm not answering your question.
Okay.
I'm kidding. What's your question?
The reading quiz is on chapter 4 or section 4.
No, the reading quiz is on chapter 22, section 2. Because that's it. Because yes, it is sarcasm. Everybody else knows it. You're literally in the center of my screen, and everyone is laughing because everyone knows the reading quiz is probably on what we're reading tonight.
Okay.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Woo! Okay.
All right, thanks.
Mr. Clapper, I have a question.
Yes, I would love to answer.
Is the reading for tonight the homework? It's in the same thing like with the book that you have posted.
Yeah, same exact thing. It's just the next section down.
Okay,
You want me
thank
to
you.
make fun of that question, Annabelle? Is that what you want me to do? You want me to make fun of Maddie for that? Is that what you? Because you were like throwing your hands up in the air. Now you have a puzzled look on your face. Moving on. So, chapter 1, section 4. Now, again, I hope you guys don't think that we're going to do the same thing day in and day out. Now, obviously, in our current situation, having a debate, messing around and stuff like that is a little bit trickier. It is a little bit, but there are some things that I'm going to try. They could crash and burn, but we're going to try to have some fun. Okay? So I'm probably going to post it tomorrow, but you guys will need to join Quizlet. Now, if you haven't done Quizlet, it can be fun. We're going to play don't roll your eyes, Annabelle. We're going to play Quizlet live, and I'm going to watch you squirm. Because, by the way, it pays to be a winner in Mr. Clapper's class, and it hurts to be a loser. Winners get extra credit. Losers lose points. Don't be a loser. Right? Don't look surprised. You got this. Nope. Don't say a word. It pays to be a winner. It pays to be a winner. Any questions? None. Your guys like, I'm done with this class. I need to contact Mr. B. I need to get transferred out of this class. There is no way Mr. Spalding is like Mr. Clapper. We need to get out of here. Good luck. Good luck transferring. I have told Mr. B that I love all my students and he can't have them. So, if you don't have any questions, you're free to go, as long as you say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye,
Goodbye.
Mr.
Have a good day,
Clapper.
See you, Mr. Clapper.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
This is Mateus and I'm leaving. Thank you, Mr. Clapper.
Take care, bud. Take care. Take care. Take care.